Welcome to Littleton Common. I'm Bob Spinozzi.
And I'm Barbara McRae. Welcome to December. Mother Nature certainly was confused during November. It was hot, cold, hot, cold. Wonder what she has planned for December. But talk about weathering the storm. We have a new president and new challenges. We can only guess what the next 4 years will be like. And getting the votes in from Littleton was work for Diane Crory and her team.
That's right, Barbara. While swing states like Michigan and Pennsylvania continued to count ballots well past election night, Massachusetts had already reported a large majority of their votes on election night. For this year, the Bay State implemented different ballot rules to handle the enormous amount of mail-in ballots that were expected this election year due to the COVID-19. Under a Massachusetts state law passed this year to expand mail-in and early voting ballots, local elected officials could begin processing those ballots as early as October 25th. Now keep in mind, like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and other states, Massachusetts cities and towns weren't allowed to actually begin the counting ballots until the voting closed on election day night. But the emergency law did allow cities and towns to do things like remove mail-in ballots from the outer envelopes and cross-check names with the voter list. And this certainly streamlined the vote counting process on the election night. Now, how did that play out in Littleton? Diane Crory, our town clerk, had it all organized. Diane, it's over.
It is, thank goodness.
It's over, but with all the ballots that you received, especially in mail, must have delayed doing other things. You might be getting to some of those right now. But let's talk about, you weren't the only one doing all this heavy lifting. Let's tell everyone who the other folks were.
Sure, so in all reality, we couldn't have done it without all the volunteers that we had, as well as in Town Hall. IT helped us out, which was Nancy Glencross and Tom McLaughlin, and also Alex Richards. So I don't know if you know him or not, but he is Deb Richards' son. He is the greeter downstairs, and he'd come in the morning, and sometimes after hours he'd come up and help out. But in all reality, we could not have gotten through this process without those three people. They helped us putting information into the system. But that was one of the key parts of getting through that part of it. But without the volunteers to help us out at the early voting and the actual voting, we had about 75 volunteers.
Wow.
You know, Littleton is really blessed to get volunteers, and there isn't a person that didn't send us an email, picked up the phone, called us and said, you know, if you need help, let us know. So we're very, very lucky here in Littleton.
So once you started the ballots, go through the whole process from receiving them to actually figuring out.
Yes, so this really started July 1. Believe it or not. So the state initially sent out the mail-in ballot applications, and they sent out starting July 1, and then we started getting phone calls, emails asking, you know, what do we need to do? And in all reality, we said, send us back the applications. They had both the primary election on it as well as the November election. Some people said that they didn't get that application, so we would send out the application to them, and they would start sending it back to us. We had to take those ballot applications. Some of them were postcards, some of them were actually applications, full-size applications. We would take that information and put that into the state system. And that's how it all started. So their information as far as their dates of birth, we had to confirm that, their mailing addresses, their phone numbers, their email addresses, all of that information went into the state system. And that is how it all started back on July 1st. So it started with the primary, but it continued on from July 1 right up until the 26th of October. And it never stopped. It was a very, very long process. And so once we started that process, then it came down to the actual ballots coming into our office, which was a very late process getting to us. We were one of the last towns to receive our ballots, so it really held us up. People were calling and calling and calling and saying, you know, we sent in the application a long time ago, why haven't we received the ballot? And every single time we called, we said, sorry, but you know, the state hasn't sent us the ballots yet. You know, we received your application, but we don't have the ballot yet. So please be patient. Please be patient. You know, as soon as we get them, we'll send them out to you. In the first round of ballots that we sent out almost 2,000 ballots. The very first round, and it was quite the undertaking. And when I drove up to the postal office down at the depot, Tim's like, okay, we're ready. And off we went with 10 full trays of ballots. And we kept going and going and going. He's like, this is great, because they, you know, shipped them off, and most people, we sent it on a Wednesday, most people had those ballots by that next Friday. So they turned them right around. It was a great process. I can't say enough for the Postal Service here in Littleton. They did a great job.
Okay, so it's Tuesday night, the polls are closed.
Yep.
Then you have for quite a bit that night?
Yeah, so so let me just take a look at what we had.
Yeah.
So we had 1,764 people that actually did early voting, which means during that 2-week process before the election, 1,764 people came to town hall and voted early. So we had those ballots. Then we had about 3,554 ballots of people that had requested them to be mailed to them. So all of those ballots were kept in the safe at town hall. Tuesday morning, all those ballots had to be taken out of the vault and brought down to the election. And we had 10 tables of 2 people, and all those tables and all those people had to slice open all those ballots and check them to see that those people actually had requested a ballot, and they checked them off and they flipped them over, and we kept them in piles, and until we were ready, we had checked them in at the in table and out at the out table, and then they were brought back, not the ballots, just the envelopes now. We hadn't even touched the ballots yet. And once that got done, then Sandy or myself would have to match those ballots to the envelopes to make sure that they were done, and then we would singly put each and every one of those ballots into the ballot boxes at the precincts. So all those ballots had to be put into the machines on election day. So it was a long process, and it took a long, we didn't finish until 9 o'clock that night.
Wow.
Yeah, so from 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock that night, we were putting all those ballots in.
Did the early voting make it that much less on election day as far as people voting?
No, we had about 1,400 more people come on election day. So it was still steady all day long. There was probably maybe a few people that waited in line. Maybe there was 5 people in a line because we had to do the 6-foot distancing. But at the most, maybe if you waited 10 minutes, that was the most.
I did the mail-in, and I hemmed and hawed because I really wanted to be there in person. But anyway,
yeah, I think that we really did, in my opinion, an excellent job of keeping everybody safe. We had some young ladies from the high school and as well as some other volunteers, adults, that were wiping down the booths as soon as somebody walked out. We had somebody walking right behind them, cleaning the booths down. We had people that were wiping down the pens as soon as they were done with them. So that it was constant cleaning of everything. And I think that people felt very safe and secure. We had the hand sanitizers at the front tables, at the back tables, at side tables when they walked out. When they walked in, they had the hand pumps.
Yeah.
So I think we did a pretty decent job of making people feel very, very secure.
And because it was well planned, there weren't any breakdowns.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I think we planned well. I think it was, in the making right from the very beginning. Back in March when this whole thing started, we had plenty of time to plan, and so the school department really helped us out. The highway department helped us out. Getting everything set up. Getting people to get in, a little alley to walk out, so they weren't crossing paths. And so I think that everyone, every person I spoke to, they were happy with what happened. People were thanking us for all of our work. All the volunteers, they were thanking them. I think that everything that went into that day was well thought through. It was quite a day. It was a long day, but it was a.
Yeah, and thinking back now, there's a lot of satisfaction that it really came off. What couldn't have been any better.
Yeah. I don't think we could have done anything any differently. At least, I haven't heard any complaints. Knock on wood.
Right.
That.
And
hopefully.
There shouldn't be a repeat in 2024.
No,
So.
hopefully not. Hopefully we'll be through this by the end of the year. I'm hoping that we'll get things turned around soon with the virus changed around, and we'll get a vaccine and we'll be good.
Go from there.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for letting us all know.
Thank you.
About how that worked out. And you have a great, great Christmas.
You as well, and a Happy New Year.
Thanks, Diane.
Take care.
Last month, we had a very big day in Littleton. On Tuesday, November 17th, it was the topping off event marking a major milestone for our new library, and LCTV was there on hand to cover the event. The topping off ceremony is an age-old tradition, and for many of the folks on the construction job, it was also a big day for them. It was their moment to celebrate and announce that their project is well on its way.
Things have been changing at the Elder and Human Services office too. You now have to sign a waiver for every program you attend. You can get one online or go into EHS office. You sign it and return.
And of course, now waivers are typical. Some employers have their employees sign up to protect the company from liability if they happen to catch COVID-19.
We needed a waiver for the Friends Lunch in November, which I might add, the lunch was a great success. We had 75 seniors registered for the list within 3 hours of the first day. 77 showed up. Sorry we couldn't up the number to 100, but we will be doing that in December when we host the next Lunch to Go at El Forno. Sign up. It will not be before December 1st, though, so put it on your calendar with other programs. The phones will be very, very busy. Please do not call Il Forno. We are keeping the list. I want to thank all the volunteers and people who offered to help with the November Lunch to Go. The Rotary sent a crew to help us, and my board made up the rest. We will be looking for them again later on. We can always count on the Rotary. They also delivered meals for the Friends Senior Lunch. The Rotary volunteers came from the newest program they have, Community Corps. Information about that is on the Rotary website, and you might want to join. You can also buy one of their masks to help their funds. You know, volunteers are always needed, and enrollment for the EHS Tax Work-Off program will begin on December 7th until the deadline at noon, December 18th. Prior participants will receive paperwork by email or by phone by November 30th. So you still sign up now, but all this is dependent on the state's COVID-19 guidelines as to when the program will actually begin. I hope you heard about the holiday bazaar that the Rotary is doing virtually on December 5th. Again, people were working on ways to keep some normalcy during COVID. It feels good to still be involved in the real world, even though it's virtually. The Rotary wanted to include anyone who has been in the past holiday bazaars. As hard as everyone works on the items and ideas for raising funds for their nonprofit organizations, it seemed so sad not to let them do it this year, with or without the everlasting virus. So Bob, do you have any memories of Christmas?
Well, sure, with family, of course. But music was always central. I sang in the school choirs all the time growing up. And in fact, I've written down some of the songs that we sang. They should be obvious anyway. Silent Night, Joy to the World, Oh Holy Night. There were many of them. And of course, the Hallelujah Chorus.
Yeah.
But then later on in my several years that I lived in Boston, we always went to the Trinity Church in Copley Square to see their choral perform the Messiah.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Of course, now here we have the Neshoba Chorale, and then we have the Littleton High School. They put on a great Christmas program. How about you?
Well, I was just thinking this morning about an embarrassing Christmas where we used to go to midnight mass, my parents and myself. And this one Christmas, I must have dressed way too warm. And of course, we're towards the front of the church. And didn't I faint?
Wow.
I must have been about 15. So that's very embarrassing because the next thing was my dad carrying me out of the church. And, then I woke up and they told me what happened, and that was something
Aren't those
else.
midnight masses usually long masses too?
Yeah, regular mass.
Yeah.
Yeah, so never dress that warm when you go to a midnight mass. But I have lots of good memories about Christmas. And in the service, you're always away from your parents and families. But my parents always flew to wherever we were. But the one Christmas in that part of our married life, the children were in their teens, and we were in Italy, and my parents couldn't come, so we had it all alone. And as much as we loved having them, this was super, because it was our Christmas, because Dad always came and he would take over building the toys. So Alan never got a chance. And this time, it was too late to build any toys, but he felt like he was part of the activities. So.
And this year there's going to be a lot of visiting families by Zoom.
Right.
So, it's okay.
Well, guess what? We're going to get through it.
We are.
In the real world, there are still good people. I found that out personally. I needed something from Joann's fabric store, but forgot my charge card at home. And just when I'm at the cash register, I find this out. I had just almost enough cash to pay for what I wanted, but needed $1.17 more. And I was going to skip getting that one thing when the woman behind me gave me $1. And then two men in line after her offered $2 more. And then the cashier dropped the 17 cents. So I was a little embarrassed, but I was also thankful, and I promised I would pass it on. We enjoy sharing these historical tidbits about Littleton. So let's talk farming. There is a list of all the farmers in town and those in farm-related occupations, and in the mid-1900s. The list included 80 owners and what was grown on 75 farms. There were 7 farms with orchards, 9 combined orchards and dairy, poultry, or vegetable farming. There were 39 farms raising dairy cows and or cattle, 14 poultry farms, and 8 market gardens. Local farmers over the 2 centuries have dealt with many impediments such as crop and livestock diseases that decreased animal and crop productivity. It is said that among the strengths of Littleton farmers is their ability to garner knowledge from many sources and apply information to their own farms and pass that expertise down to younger generations. Littleton farmers have succeeded in holding their own against challenging odds, and we enjoy Littleton farms to this day. We know Jamie Cruz is the younger generation who keeps progressing and keeping her farm important to our town. The farm has been family-owned and operated since the 1700s. A construction project is in progress for an extended retail area. Springbrook Farm is family-owned and farming since 1713 and was chosen number 11 as one of the oldest and largest in America. You can pick your own apples at Nagog Farm, and we have the Littleton Community Farm. Pickard Farm has hay, firewood, and pumpkins.
Now, Barbara, that area where Springdale, and Gary's are located had a nickname, Scratch Flat. And I'm not exactly sure how the area got its name. But anyway, in the first part of the 20th century, the farmers on that 1 square acre of land supplied a lot of produce. In fact, a good bit of the products were transported and sold in Boston's Haymarket Square. Now, in addition to the agriculture, the Scratch Flat area was also the basis for a book written by John Hanson Mitchell, Ceremonial Time. Published in 1984, the book turns that 1 square mile off Route 119 into one fascinating place. Ceremonial Time traces the area's natural and human history over the past 15,000 years since the last ice age. Mitchell's book tells us about Native Americans, explorers, colonialists, farmers, and even witches. Ceremonial Time is still in print and has become a cult classic.
We have no reason not to get fresh fruit and vegetables here in town, and we do hope you shop local. Have you ever worked on a telethon? Well, the Friends of the COA are working on one with LCTV as we speak. This will be a fundraiser for the Friends of the Council on Aging. I think it would be fun to bring some talent out of hibernation and let them share it. We will be looking for people who want to show their talent to our viewers. So if you know someone or want to be on this telethon, please email me at bjtrm@aol.com and leave your name and phone number. We will contact you and put you on our list. There will be phones available during the program so we can accept donations for the Friends of the COA for senior programs. We will be looking for volunteers to man the phones and help in other ways for this important day. Donations may be sent to the Friends of the Littleton Council on Aging, P.O. Box 136, Littleton, Massachusetts, 01460. And know this, all donations are appreciated so we can continue with our goals to help our seniors. I heard there is a new drop-off point for the hard-to-recycle plastics.
That's right, Barbara. Donnellan's Supermarkets has made arrangements with TerraCycle Recycling to provide collection bins at their market locations in Littleton and Acton. You can recycle a whole host of items, from empty plastic and glass containers and bottles to cleaning pumps, empty tubes, so much more. For information on specific throwaways and other info go to the website shown here. Now, TerraCycle gives points for each item, which translates to cash for nonprofits such as the 4-H Club, the Littleton Schools, and the library.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and all the other celebrations during this 2020 December month. Enjoy the holidays and be careful. Let's help to stop the spread of COVID.
And we hope you have a happy new year, and next year we know what's coming to help us say bye to the virus.
Thank you for being with us today. Don't let the Grinch steal your Christmas, and don't forget our seniors.